Preflighting the 310H. We have this beautiful Cessna 310H. Beautiful, perfect condition, ready to fly. All we gotta do is complete our pre-flight check. Closed. Make sure all your baggage inside is secure. Static hole. Make sure that's all nice and clear. Make sure that the leading edge is okay. And we have a boot here, so make sure there's no nicks or tears. And we want it right here. That's all nice. If you see any wrinkling in the skin, that means interior damage. So make sure it's nice and free. Moving. Check the trim tab, make sure that's secure. They got cotter pins as well. Safety pins, make sure those are in. And then moving up to the tail. Our trim tab's nice and secure. The tail moves nice and freely, as you can clearly see, and it's very secure.
This is a tail light. Just make sure it's always here. Okay.
The trailing edge, which looks nice. You can see it moves up and down, it's nice and free and solid. It's moved up and down, and as you can see, there are hinges in it. Back to the leading edge, you can see that the boot is in very good condition here. And so we're pretty much ready to, and we're good to fly. Second static port, make sure that one's nice and flaps, which are hidden underneath, down here. 2-piece flaps, 1 piece right here, 1 piece right there. Tab is nice and secure, and the aileron moves freely up and down, and so that the hinge moves it is nice and attached. We got red and white. Red is for the left side, white is a strobe light, navigational light. Now we're going to be checking our fuel. You want to lift this tab, rotate it, and the cap comes right off. Now you want to make sure you have your dipstick to check the fuel visually. And as you can see, there is fuel on the dipstick. And that is a good amount to fly. And next, you want to put the cap back on, make sure it's seated, turn it, and press it back down. Turn it, and off it goes. And then you want to inspect visually. We have no fuel in this. And then you put the cap back on. Sometimes you gotta push and whip, but it goes eventually. And then you give it a good little arch strainer. This is for the auxiliary fuel tank, and you do that, and as you can see, there is still no fuel in it. Push it in, and as you can see, there is fuel in it. And next we have auxiliary fuel tank vent, which is this little doodad right here. Air comes in, and it lets the fuel drain down into the edge. Our landing light, which is a fancy light that comes out of the wing right here. You can see that it is nice and secure and won't fall out. Quantity of oil, which is this dipstick right in the side right here. Just give it a good tug and it comes right out. Want to make sure there is 9 to 12 quarts. And it looks like we have 9 quarts exactly, which is perfect to fly. And then you push that back in, make sure it won't come out. Now that we're down here on the landing gear, make sure to check that all the components are nice and secure and clean. Make sure that there are no fluids dripping, and this is a good time to check your brakes as well. Make sure there are no divots on your brake caliper or your disc brake, and that there's no chips or anything. And check your tire, make sure there's no dry rot or cracks or very big divots. And make sure it's inflated as well. This is where all the water collects in the system, and you want to drain that out, and you want to make sure that there's, again, no water or debris, and if there is, drain it until it comes out, and then 3 sums of fresh oil or fresh fluid. I'm going to check for any dings that are bigger than 1/8 of an inch will require any attention, and you just want to feel the blade and make sure there's no cracks or anything on both sides, and then you got to do that for each individual blade. Cap that is labeled oil. You take it off, and then you can check, and then you just gotta put it back on and make sure it is secure. And this is where you add any oil. If you check that it was low, that's where you add it. You gotta make sure your cowl access doors are nice and secure when you put them back on. Beautiful windshield that is not sun damaged and crystal clear. I can't even tell it's there, so we're good. If it's dirty or buggy, you want to make sure to clean it. Next, you have our nose wheel and strut. Gotta make sure that that's inflated. No dry rot. See, this tire is in excellent condition, and it's all secure. All the components all look good and attached. There's no fluid stripping, and this tire does not have a brake, so you do not need to check that on here. Lastly, but not leastly, make sure your pitot tube is nice and clear. Any bugs crawl in there, you're not gonna have a good time. And now that we're up here, you can enter the plane and get ready to fly the plane. So, to open the door, you need to push in right here, then the handle comes out, and then you turn it upwards, and you gently pull, and the door is open nice and easily. And then it has a fancy lock right here that holds it open. And then we welcome friends back to Preflighting the 310H. First of all, interior. Make sure you have your aircraft maintenance status somewhere. Your Hobbs and tachometer time right here. And your tachometer should be right here. Make sure your parking brake is off. To do that, you pull up, rotate, and it goes in. Next, make sure your required documents and pilot operating handbook are in the airplane, as so, right here. Yeah. Next, make sure you have your weight and balance, and that is verified and in limits. You have done it beforehand. Next, make sure your magnetos are off, and your avionics master switch is off. Everything's off. Now remember to turn your master switch on, and then your fuel injection indicators are both on. They're on the main tanks. 1, 2. Now make sure your exterior lights or your fuel quantity indicators are correct. We have our main tanks and our auxiliary tanks. And as you can see, we have plenty of fuel to go around the world. Moving on to our exterior lights, you want to make sure that those work. You turn them on, and you would get out and walk around and turn them back on. Next, you would do interior lights, which is this switch right here, so you can see for night flight. Only required for night flight. And then you would extend your flaps 45 degrees to make sure that they're nice and sturdy and that they won't come off in flight.
That's not good.
And then you want to check your oxygen pressure, which is a gauge in the back. All the way back there. And then master switch off. And then you're ready to fly.